Good evening and welcome to the regular twice monthly meeting of the Westminster Mayor and Common Council. Even as our meetings have become open to the public again, we will continue to be available and streamed live on the city's Facebook page, as well as the Community Media Center channel and website. Council President Greg Pecoraro is out of town on business this evening, as is the Council President Tony Cavacci, who is also away. Council President Pecoraro, with the consent of my fellow council members, has appointed me to preside over this evening's meeting. Let the record reflect that under the council's rules of order and procedure, Article 2, Section 8, we have a quorum of 3 voting members of the legislative body. We will begin the meeting this evening with the pledge to the flag, followed by a movement. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Copies of tonight's agenda and the entire information packet that the council will be using this evening are available online on the city's website. And I think we will go ahead and begin our meeting with a presentation by Liz Cole, who is the wonderful Dean of Students. I slipped the I changed the adjective up. Dean of Students for McDaniel College.
Thank you.
Do you have a brief? Want to share a few words with us?
Greetings from the college, just to give you a little information about what's happening on campus right now. It's kind of a quiet time. My fingers crossed. It's always a toss up. Because we're in our January term, which is a 3-week period of time when many of our students might travel on a study abroad trip. But our entire first year class returns to campus to complete a course called My Design, which the intention is to give them this 3-week opportunity to really think about what they want their future to hold, not only at McDaniel and beyond, but beyond. And so there's some great field trips to many of the local businesses here in town and in the county to help provide students with an understanding of what are some of those careers that they could be preparing for. So, and that's been going incredibly well. So as the Dean of Students, I always keep my fingers crossed that things will be quiet. So that's probably the biggest happening right now. So thank you.
Well, thank you. We really appreciate you coming to the meetings, and we really appreciate our relationship with you, Daniel. Now we'll have a statement for the record of the closed meeting of Monday, December the 12th of 2022. In accordance with the general provisions, Article Section 3-306C2 of the Annotated Code of Maryland, and without objection, it is noted that the meeting minutes of reflect the Common Council met in a closed meeting on Monday, December the 12th, 2022 at 8:15 p.m. pursuant to the General Provision Act, Section 3-305B1 to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom this public body has jurisdiction, and any other personnel matter that affects one or more specific individuals, and to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice. The motion to go into closed meeting was passed unanimously. The following staff members were in attendance at the beginning of the meeting: City Clerk Barber, City Administrator Impulse, and City Attorney Levin. The Common Council took no official action during the meeting. And we want to note that the City Clerk Barber and the City Administrator and the City Attorney left the closed meeting at 8:27 p.m. and the closed meeting adjourned at 9:45. Next, we will consider approval of the minutes for December 12th, 2022. And the mayor and council closed meeting minutes of December 12th, 2022. I'm sure everyone's had an opportunity to read them over. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Mr. President, I'll make a motion to approve both sets of minutes for the regular meeting and then the closed meeting that both took place on December 12th.
Motion was made by Councilmember Huff, seconded by Councilmember Gilbert. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. The ayes seem to have it, and the ayes have it. The minutes are approved. This evening, we have no presentations by the mayor. We have no public hearings. And we have nothing on the consent calendar. So we'll go straight into reports from the mayor. Mayor Becker, you have the floor.
All right, thank you, sir. I don't have very much to report. We were all busy over the holiday season. I know a lot of us were traveling and going to visit family. I did just want to mention one thing that I'd like to thank at the meeting, Mr. Eric Brown, our Director of Housing. I met with some residents at the Bishop Garth apartment complex on Thursday morning. As I was leaving, Mr. Brown pulled up with his team to do some inspection of those apartments on behalf of the city. And just working with him over the last week or so on the issues surrounding the apartments within that complex, I just wanted to publicly state my thanks for Mr. Brown and his team for doing a phenomenal job, as he always has with housing in the city. So thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
That is all.
Great, thank you, Madam Mayor. Next report from standing committees, and I'll just go ahead and lead it off with the Arts Council. We're going to have a meeting later in the week. We're looking forward to going over what we accomplished last year and what we look forward to accomplish this year. During the month of January, it's exciting. We have documentaries. They're sponsored by Bernie Vogel and Jeannie Bird. I brought it up with Bernie the other day at Jeannie Bird, and about 45 minutes later, we finally left. But it is exciting. The documentaries are a lot of fun. We also had a meeting recently of the Film Lovers, and the Film Lovers series that is coming up is really exciting. Check their website for more information. Next, we'll have economic and community development. Mr. Huff.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. So our next meeting of Economic and Community Development is Thursday, January 19th at 3:30 p.m. at 45 West Main. I am in the process of working with Ms. Imholz regarding and the rest of the committee as well, kind of coming up with our priorities for the upcoming year so that we can kind of stay focused and kind of make sure we can, have a reasonable agenda for the year of what we're going to try to accomplish this upcoming year, which I'm excited for. So that's it for right now. Thank you, sir.
You want to follow up with the Finance Committee?
I don't believe we have anything to discuss on the Finance Committee. We haven't had a meeting most recently. I know that staff is working on the budget amendment, which I think is coming our way probably at the next meeting.
No, yeah, next, but it's not going to be at this meeting.
No.
And you're working on the budget. Okay.
Just to clarify, we haven't started working on the budget for next year yet, but that will be, I'm sure that will happen.
That will be happening
soon.
That will be happening soon.
Yes.
Personnel Committee, Ms. Gilbert.
I want to just continue to make people aware of the numerous positions we have open in Westminster City. We have an amazing team of folks and great benefits, terrific leadership. So please check out our website for full descriptions and applications. I also want to thank all of our employees for their time, their talents, and all their service last year. Many of our folks go above and beyond for the love of our city. And near the end of the year, many of us, I know I did, I know Mayor Becker did, I saw tons of posts on Facebook We received letters, thanking us for the delightful lights. There were several letters about staff praises on some of our staff members. So I just wanted to thank everyone for their hard work. And that's all.
Thank you. Next up is public safety. Mr. Hoff?
Yes, I'm reporting for Mr. Kavati since in his absence. I will note a couple things. Our Westminster Police Department continues to do an awesome job for the community. We did have a couple of recent arrests, which I will just note. The Westminster Police Department detectives identified and charged a Robert C. Humple. I believe that's how you pronounce his name, 35 years old, was arrested with theft $1,500 to under $25,000 for a theft from 84 East Woodfire Kitchen and Bar. Additionally, a gentleman that we're unfortunately a little bit too familiar with, Donald A. Ely, 41 years old, was charged with theft from motor vehicles and tampering with motor vehicles following his sort of spree of 14 different vehicles on December 31st, 2022. He will be going to trial, I believe, sometime in March, and he, thank goodness, is being held without no bond was posted. So because he has a habit of continuing to do this. So hopefully he will remain behind bars for a while.
It's his third arrest.
I might even be fourth. He has a very long history.
Well, we'll look forward to figuring this out.
Just as a reminder for the community, it always helps to lock your vehicles. That's happened to me one time. Lock your vehicles as a preventative thing. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hoff. Public Works Committee, Ms. Gilbert?
Yes, I have a couple updates. So the first one is clock tower update. The initial inventory videotape was completed, which was the precursor for the formal repairs that will hopefully begin in the near future. During some of that time, the clock itself will be out of service and there will be scaffolding along Main Street, but residents will still be able to access the businesses under the scaffolding during this time. And you will see work being completed with the clock tower all the way into summer, I believe. And then we have a storm drain update that actually after our comments and council comments, we'll get into with the bid and Mr. Dick can elaborate on. But to give you an overview, there's some water ponding and ground erosion issues developing over at the Coldstream and Close Court and the Hobbits Lane locations. As a result, the storm drain is in need of some improvement and an extension to fix and mitigate the erosion and improve the standing water issues for the residents. So that will, Mr. Dick will further talk about this during the bid section. City staff were awarded a grant for downtown streetscape improvements in the amount of $88,000. This will include 4 new crosswalks that will be installed this year down East Main Street, and they will include some solar generated lighting that will enhance the safety of the crosswalk. City staff turned off the music on the speakers from Christmas. I'm sorry. When taking down the holiday lights, but have no fear. The music will be back up soon and we will access those speakers throughout our year. Tom Sterner was notified that he received a grant for his public art installation called Raven Tree to be located at Wakefield. And pre-bid for Wakefield Pavilion occurred this past week and was very well attended. And I believe that's all I got.
That's great. And we will all know when the clock tower is being worked on because we will all get phone calls immediately. At least I got a phone call last week already. Recreation and parks, folks love the playground light display. And all the holiday festivities, we thank you. We had a house full of guests over the holidays. We must have had about 52 children living in our house. And they wanted to go down every evening to the light display. So it was at the playground. So it was pretty awesome. Anyone going to pick up the technology committee? Mr. Pepper.
Mr. Havati is
okay.
aware of that, so I do not have a report. I believe they're supposed to be having a meeting sometime in late January, but that's the last I heard.
Okay, at this time, council members have an opportunity to speak on any other issues not part of their committee report or any other agenda item. We can start down your end, Ms. Gilbert. Any other follow-ups?
Well, it's been a while since we had a meeting, so I just wanted to thank our current and new county commissioners. We had a county commissioners walk on December 15th. It was a great event. It was a great chance to get out and talk to the new commissioners. There were other elected officials that attended, some Westminster city leaders, business owners, all kinds of folks. It was an informal gathering, and it was just great to interact with everyone that hopefully will lead to some positive changes in our community. As a result of just meeting and brainstorming and having some really nice get-togethers. So it was just a nice welcome. Wreaths Across America was held on December 17th as a way to honor veterans throughout history who lost their lives. Wreaths Across America invites military families and the community members to take a moment of remembrance during the holiday season, and I was honored to have spoken at the Union Cemetery in Kemar this year. That was pretty much it, because then Christmas hit.
Chaos. Thank you, Ms. Gilbert. Mr. Huff?
So the only thing I will say is I'm just very excited for the new year. Last year was technically my first full calendar year on council. And I think that over the course of the past year with Ms. Imholz and staff, we have accomplished a lot of great things. And as someone who has done development work and other things, a lot of times things are building blocks. And even some of the commentary, we've had a lot of positive feedbacks about the lit trees on Main Street. And, you know, a few people have said, well, why did it not go further? But again, this was the first year and was a building block. And I think in future years, we will see that go further. And when you look at the recent opening of Covalent Spirits on Main Street, in a different kind of block of Main Street where we haven't had a lot of those type of businesses. All of this is building on itself. And I'm very excited about all the things that we've accomplished over the past year, which makes me really excited about what potentially we could do in 2023. So I just feel a little bit of renewed energy. That's my only comment.
That's a great report, Mr. Huff. I'll follow up with Mr. Huff's comments about Covalent. They were on the front page of the paper yesterday. And this is my show and tell. With some excellent comments by Madam Mayor that I think we can all agree they're a wonderful addition to build upon what Mr. Huff just said. They took the old city garage and adaptively reused it and renovated it, and I'm really excited about their addition to that end of town. We can extend the life when we can find some electricity up at that end. That was the one limiting factor. And then I was tickled with the picture of Melissa. Show and tell. There didn't seem to be any attempt on the part of Melissa to apply CPR to the one
Down penguin.
the down penguin. There's a penguin down when but that was a great spotlight. Back in I have lots of show and tell. Show and tell is fun. We used to do a lot of show and tell. We had the Westminster Community service for the Blues Christmas service, which was attended by the chief, and A number of us attended that service at St. Paul's United Church of Christ. It's for the homeless folks we've lost in the last year. And that turned out really well. And then I wanted to mention that our former council president that I had the pleasure of working with made the front page. Council President Suzanne Albert made the front page. Councilwoman Albert was wonderful. It was wonderful working with her. And I was kind of happy. She's 90 years young and she is still volunteering. She's volunteering at Access Carroll. She's a real dynamo. And then wanted to mention that today is National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. And there was an article in the paper. Council member Huff and I attended the swearing in of the state's attorney, and it was extremely well attended. And we used it as an opportunity to network with everybody. We really did. So that concludes council remarks, unless anyone has any follow-ups for anyone. Madam Mayor? So next we will move on to bids. We have one bid this evening. We have the award of a contract with Kibler Construction Company of Finksburg, Maryland, for the extension of the storm drain at Coldstream Close Court and Province Lane that Ms. Gilbert mentioned. And do we turn that over to Mr. Dick? Okay, cool, thanks.
The fiscal 23 CIP includes funding for storm drain improvements from Coldstream and Close Court. The existing outfall has caused standing water issues for the residents. The improvements will extend the outfall further down the existing swale and include enhancements to reduce scaling energy of the water flow. Province Lane extension will eliminate the erosion that is undermining the existing pipe and footpath that runs along part of the Wakefield Valley Trail. Project was advertised to the county pre-approved contractors on November 28, 2022 with a bid meeting and bid due dates of December 8, 2022 and December 22nd, 2022 respectively. All work will need to be completed in the spring of 2023 to meet the fiscal year end date of June 30th, 2023. Two bids were received, with the lowest being Kibler Construction Company. Below is the summary of the two bids received. Kibler Construction Company, $61,000 even. White Pine Construction, $74,900 even. City staff has reviewed and evaluated references and the proposal from Kibler Construction Company in the total amount of $61,000 finds it to be acceptable. The FY 23 CIP includes $75,000 for this project. Staff recommends that the Mayor and Common Council award the contract to Kibler Construction Company of Finksburg, Maryland, in the amount not to exceed $61,000 for the storm drain improvements.
Before we have any questions, let's get a motion on the floor to introduce the resolution before discussion.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion to award the contract to Kibler Construction Company of Finksburg.
Thank you, Mr. Huff. A second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Gilbert. Are there any questions?
Yes.
Okay, Madam Mayor.
No, Mr. Dick, can you just reiterate, I believe when we were in the Public Works meeting, you had stated that the $75,000 that was budgeted for this project was for just one of the projects that we're now doing, was that correct?
That's correct.
So in essence, we're able to get both projects done for under the cost that was budgeted for a single project.
Yes, that's right.
All right, great. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure that that was clarified.
Thank you for clarifying. Yes.
I was wondering that too.
Even better. Okay, wonderful.
Yeah, I was wondering, I didn't.
Just like a 2-for-1 thing.
Even better.
Well,
Even
frankly,
better.
saying
Okay, then,
anything
under,
under the budget is nice.
I was
I
impressed
agree
with that.
Yeah.
I was impressed with that too.
Wonderful.
That's my only
Is that,
comment. Mr.
well,
President.
I'm glad you asked that because I was wondering that too when I read it.
It's nice to know when we are able to save money.
Well,
on
it's,
projects.
the word out there is that Westminster, it's good to work with Westminster, so. That helps us out with the cost and the pricing. Ms. Gilbert, any follow-up?
No.
Mr. Huff?
Nope.
Is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve.
Oh,
We already
did that. So we already did that. So, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes seem to have it. The ayes have it. The resolution is approved. Next is an adoption of resolution 2301, a resolution of the mayor and common council amending the city's general fee schedule for governmental and proprietary functions of the city of Westminster with respect to applicable charges for the use of the Westminster Municipal Pool. I will assume that the Director of Recreation and Parks, Ms. Gruber, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. This is for resolution 2301. In fiscal year 2022, the city entered into a contractual agreement with Keller Brothers Incorporated to renovate the Westminster Municipal Pool. In response to the city's investment in these significant improvements and in anticipation of a 2023 grand reopening of the newly renovated pool complex, the attached resolution, or the resolution that was provided to you in your packet, reflects modest fee increases for pool usage. The proposed fees will help defray the cost of improvements and offset the inflationary cost of operating public facilities. Staff recommends that the mayor and council adopt resolution 2301, adjusting the pool fees for the 2023 pool season and beyond.
Mr. President,
Yes, ma'am.
I also wanted to clarify that these fees went through the finance committee. I know the chair of the finance committee is not here right now, but the committee was supportive of the fees and asked us to send this forward to council.
Thank you. Thank you. Before there are any other follow-up questions or remarks, let's get a motion to accept the resolution. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the resolution.
Thank you, Ms. Gilbert, and we'll only do it one
I
time.
will second.
Mr. Huff, seconded. Are there any other questions about the fees or any other remarks?
Mr. President, I do have a question.
Yes,
For Mr. Gruber. So I was reading, and it says the family membership may include 6 immediate family members with a maximum of 2 adults, 19 and over only. So just for clarity, but then that C add-on, is that referring to, like, what if I have a family membership and I have college age children that are still at home, at least for the summer? And they are over 19, they're 20 or whatever. How does that work with that family plan?
So you can add on at least one to your membership for $50, and then above and beyond that, they have to purchase their own individual membership.
Okay, so you can add on at least one someone 19 years or older.
Correct.
Okay. With that family membership. Okay.
Any other questions?
I do not.
Ms. Gilbert?
No. I have no
Um,
questions. Looks pretty clear to me.
I'm just gonna make my college age kids have to pay $50.
Actually,
Yes, ma'am.
sorry, Mr. Gruber, since, if we approve this evening, when do you anticipate selling memberships?
Starting February 1st or before, depending upon if fees are accepted.
Okay,
Okay, that's good. That'll give you a good start. All those in favor of resolution number 2301, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes seem to have it. Resolution number 2301 is approved. So, Ms. Gruber, you can get started marketing it. I think there's a lot of anticipation out there. We don't seem to have any unfinished business. Is anyone aware of any unfinished business or any new business?
No, Mr. President.
That leads us up to departmental reports. And I'll turn the floor over to the city administrator.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll turn the floor back over to you to see if we have a fire report.
We do have a fire report. We need to catch up with November's statistics and December statistics and read them into the record. The total calls for November were 572. 456 of those were for EMS, 116 were for fire. 297 were in the city limits. 212 were outside the city limits. The one statistic that we're always worried about is the number of overlapping calls. We have 3 medic units on the street these days, and still 55% of the time when we're called for service, we have to bring in Pleasant Valley or New Windsor or Reese to lend us a hand. That is November's report. For December, we had 467 EMS calls. We had 161 fire calls. We've had a series of very serious fires in the city, in the city and in the county, to get us started on the winter season. We want to ask everyone to be extra careful this time of the year during winter heating season. The other interesting statistic for the calendar year 2022 is that for the first time in the city's history, the Westminster Fire Department has had over 7,000 calls for service. Now, they had 7,067 calls for service. There are folks at this table that are better at math than I am, but if you divide that by 365, it's a very busy department.
7,060.
7,067 divided by 365.
19 calls a day.
19 calls a day.
Average.
19 calls a day.
Mm.
They never stop, and keeping equipment on the road is really hard. With all of that work. Thank you, Madam City Administrator. That's my report.
Sir. I have a couple of housekeeping items for you. Just a reminder that Monday, January 16th is a holiday for city offices for Martin Luther King Jr. Day. As Councilmember Gilbert mentioned, we have removed, and maybe you've seen on Main Street, we've removed the Christmas holiday decorations. But as a reminder, the lights will remain on the trees until March. Which is great, keeping everybody in the sparkly spirit. Speaking of which, I want to wish a happy new year to the mayor and council and to the staff that are here and those that are listening. I'm looking forward, as Councilmember Hoffman, I'm looking forward to a good year in 2023. So we'll go around the room and we'll start tonight with our Human Resources Director, Ms. McCullough.
Good evening. The Human Resources Department, we continue to recruit across all departments for various positions. Those positions are listed on our website where you can complete an application. The city has great benefits for new hires. Also, the HR has been involved in interviews across actively recruiting and interviewing for various positions. So we've been getting good candidates. And recently we had a new employee orientation. So we've had 2 new recent hires. And we also have staff CPR training coming up next week. That completes my report.
Any questions for the Human Resources Director?
Ms. Impulse?
Yes.
Is it possible for mayor and council to do CPR training?
This particular one is full, but we can
Okay.
certainly look into that
Alright.
in the future.
Who needs a renewal?
Okay.
I'm with Madam Mayor on that. I would like to do that as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
We're on a bit of a wait list right now, but we'll get you in there.
Okay, thank you.
Add us to your wait list.
We'll put you at the very top. Okay, hearing no more questions for the Human Resources Department, we will move on to the Police Department. Chief Ledwell.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. To pick up on Councilman Hall was saying earlier, we also Corporal Claggett was doing foot patrol at about 3:30 in the morning, and he caught two individuals from Prince George's County stealing cooking oil from the tank behind the rock salt grill. I guess there's value, like the oil gets recycled and sold. They were siphoning it out, so we charged those two individuals. We also solved a fraud theft case from Bel Air Road Supply that involved organized group out of the District of Columbia. We served search warrants on warehouses down there and were able to recover and return all of the property to Bel Air Road Supply. And are continuing that investigation. We're in the process of preparing for this year's Leadership Carroll Class Justice and Law Day, which takes place in March, and I coordinate that. Our body worn camera program is fully implemented. And we have done an additional 30 days of roll call training over the last month, which we just concluded at the end of last week. There's many facets to this program. It does require a lot of work, but administratively, and many things for the officers to complete to successfully run the program. And we are doing the final interview tomorrow with the grant funded body worn camera program coordinator position, and hope to have this individual on board here in the next week or two. That's all I have, unless you have any questions.
Any questions for the Police Department? Seeing none, we'll move on to the Planning Department. Mr. Depot.
Thank you and good evening. On Friday, December 16th, the 20 Small Business Saturday Passport Program winners were selected and have been contacted. The winners received a $50 gift certificate, which can be used at any one of the Small Business Saturday participating businesses. On Wednesday, January 4th, the Historic District Commission met. However, there are no official applications before them. They did discuss the upcoming Carroll County History Expo to be held on February 25th, 2023. And I'll forward more information to Ms. Imhoff about that for the Mayor and Common Council. And also how to better educate people on the Historic District and the available tax credit and facade improvement grant programs. The BZA had no meeting on January. And on Thursday, January 19th, the Planning and Zoning Commission is tentatively scheduled to hear the site development plan amendment to allow a 32,000 square foot addition to the existing 64,000 square foot building for Westminster Pharmaceutical, or West Pharma, at 1221 Tech Court. This is located at the northeast corner of Tech Court, Old Bachman Valley Road intersection. West Pharma is a specialty pharmaceutical company focused on developing and manufacturing difficult to develop technology-driven specialty generics. And the addition is for the expansion of the existing manufacturing area. And that completes my report.
Any questions for the Planning Department? Hearing none, we will move on to the Housing Department. Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Ms. Imhoff.
And good evening, Mayor and Council. Some of you already alluded to some of the things we have underway. We did have an opportunity to go out and inspect a number of units at Bishop Garth. We're in the process of trying to accumulate the information that we gathered there. We did get into every building, and at least one apartment in every building, but the majority of them were in the building 99 and the building 100. Yeah, 99 and 100. So we got great participation from the residents. as part of our inspections, we went in every room. We did looked at the exterior, but in every aspect of each one of the units. And we should be in a position to share our findings with the city administrator and subsequently with the county council, mayor council, by the next meeting. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Are there any questions for the housing department?
One follow-up.
Sir?
I heard that the mayor was out there and that you stayed as long as anybody had questions. And I got several phone calls about how they were so excited that the mayor took time out of her busy day to take questions and be interested in Bishop's Garth.
Took off shortly after Mr. Brown got there, since I didn't want to feel like I was micromanaging him or supervising him, but yes, I was there for about 45 minutes. Thursday morning before Mr. Brown arrived.
I heard a lot of very positive reports about Mr. Brown's participation and the mayor's participation. I've been to Bishop Garth on a number of occasions with all sorts of, not only with the fire department, but also just requests to fix things. I haven't been out recently, but I really appreciate that you're giving it some attention. I really appreciate it. This almost says this impulse. That's all I have.
Thank you,
Thank you.
sir.
Ms. Imhoff, the only thing that I just want to add is a little bit relevant is just to kind of share. I know there's been some discussions within economic and community development that our rental licensing program, and forgive me, I was the chair of that committee, and it's been a long while. I don't know whether it's been 10 years or what. But we have not had any substantial changes to that program since it was initially put in place. So I think it's something that we might, I know there's been some discussion among, council at various points of relooking at that. And for me personally, for, one of my upcoming goals, I certainly kind of want to relook at that, the program, and just see what we could potentially do to improve it. Try to keep a good eye on our housing stock within the city of Westminster. Because I think it's important that, people have a safe and comfortable place to live. So that's the extent of my comments there.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions for the housing director?
I'd like to echo those remarks by Mr. Huff. There's other local governments are very much interested in our nuisance abatement ordinance that we passed in 2004, and I think it was amended in 2008. And I think they're looking at addressing some property concerns out in the county and with other local government. But I would echo Mr. Huff's remark. I remember when we first brought the livability code and the rental license and a number of those things, and they were controversial, but I think they're fairly well accepted these days. Mr. Brown has done a wonderful job of cleaning that up and getting that going. I'm hearing a lot of very positive remarks from landlords. In full disclosure, I am a landlord myself, but I think it's time that we took a look at some of those things. And I really look forward to that legislation coming forward. Thank you, Ms. Imhoff.
Thank you, sir. Are there any other questions for the housing director? Thank you, Mr. Brown. We will move on to the finance department. Ms. Rogers.
Thank you, Ms. Halls. Good evening, Mayor and council members. Happy New Year. Ray, I wanted to thank you for your support as we have been recruiting for a position in the finance office and still are. So that is posted if people are interested in applying for an accounts payable position. I think it's important to give the council and mayor an update that we are still undergoing our fiscal 22 audit. I thought we would be completed by now, but just given turnover in our office and wanting to make sure everything is right, there's been some delays on our end, but there has been some delays on the audit end as well. They had to reprioritize some adjustments with clients for turnover in other locations. So they were out last week for 2 days instead of 3 as planned. They're unable to come back this week. I think they'll be out next week.
But the audit is going well, haven't received any negative feedback at this point, so we're keeping things moving. That's the end of my report.
Ma'am, are there any questions for the finance director? Hearing none, we will move on to the Public Works Department. Our Deputy Public Works Director, Mr. Dick.
Most of the stuff, big stuff was talked about already, so don't have much to report on. It's a kind of a quiet year, thank goodness, for our street department. Just watching the weather. We try to predict the weather. And we're not meteorologists, so as long as weather keeps holding out, we get to take care of storm ponds and other maintenance items that through the course of the year kind of fall behind or just harder to do during the summer. So that's one of our big things right now is we're getting to all the storm ponds and getting them cleaned up. That's really most of my report. If you have any questions.
Mrs. Walsh.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I thank Mr. Dick for hopefully jinxing us over the snow?
I not the
Thank you, sir. But not on the weekend. You're not allowed to whisper on the weekend, only during the week, and preferably not at night. So it's a limited window, but if you can fit us a foot of snow somewhere in there, he's super appreciative. Three times.
I've encouraged the mayor to only wish for snow when we're already working as opposed to overtime hours on the weekend or.
The mayor going to drive one of the snow plows?
They won't let me, I've asked.
Not if everything goes as planned.
Plowing snow is really hard.
Are there any other questions for the Public Works Department? Mr. Hoff?
Just, because we talked about the clock tower a little bit, do we have any sense of when the scaffolding will be going up for the clock tower?
Yep.
Just out of curiosity.
So as of right now, it looks like it'll probably be the end of February, beginning of March is when the scaffolding will start to go up.
Okay, okay.
I think it's gonna, some weather's gonna play there.
And I would imagine that's going to be take a while to put up that. It sounds pretty extensive. Yeah, okay, thank you.
Any other questions for the Public Works Department? Hearing none, we are ready to move to the Recreation and Parks Department. Ms. Gruber.
Good evening. On behalf of myself and the entire Recreation Department, I would just like to thank the mayor and council for the extra time off around the holidays. Basically giving us Monday after each holiday was a real treat, and a half a day on Christmas Eve certainly was appreciated by staff across the board. So my thanks to you for that extra time to give our employees with their families and friends. Since we have been back for the new year, we have been undecking our halls. As Councilman Dayhoff showed, we did make the paper. We took advantage of some of the warm post-holiday weather to take the lights down in City Park and the wreaths off the windows on the front of the Armory. And basically now are switching gears into our 2023 event season. As I reminded downtown business owners at today's meeting, we are only 61 days away from our Celtic Cancer and Irish Festival. So that time will evaporate, and we already have sold out of our early bird registrations for the run. So now we are moving productively forward to our full price registration. But we will be sending out other registration incentives as the clock ticks down to race day. Also, just a reminder, as part of the festivities, we will also have our whiskey tasting seminar held at Johansson's. Registration will open shortly for that opportunity. And we will also be offering free trolley transportation up to our downtown restaurants, bars, and eateries for a little Irish pub crawl celebration on the day of the festival. Trolleys will run from noon to 5. The pub crawl actually takes place from noon to 4. We'll give an extra hour to get folks back to their cars. So looking forward to all of those festivities and looking forward to a productive 2023. Thank you.
Mr. President, that concludes the departmental reports.
Mr. President,
Yes, ma'am.
that 0.5K.
Point one.
Huh?
Wasn't it a 0.1?
25.
It's always 25. The mayor, and the council will be participating in that 25K.
I heard we were. Okay, all right, just checking. I still have my t-shirt.
No one has talked.
There
about
is-
it.
There has to be something that we kind of commit to in their.
In their-
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true, that's true.
Maybe we ought to form a committee and name some chairs while we're at it. And it did snow last year. Yeah, yeah, not everyone is as excited about the snow.
Not in March.
Well,
It made a nice video.
well, it did, it made it, it did make it great. Any other follow-up comments from anyone? The final item on our agenda is city citizens' comments. And that's when we invite the public to address the mayor and council on anything except for snow. That pertains to tonight's agenda or any other city issues. During the pandemic, when we could not welcome the public to attend our meetings in person, we invited them to share their concerns by emailing us to our city clerk at comments@westgov.com. Is that still the address? That's not. Yeah, I think it's, yeah, let's amend that. comments@westminstermd.gov. Commenters should include their address and their phone number with their comments. All comments we receive will be shared with the mayor and council, and this is your opportunity to be heard. Ms. McNulty? No? No? You? No? Wow. With that, we are adjourned. Thank you. Sorry. I was enjoying it, so there wasn't any reason.
That's like, I just thought, I'll fresh my brain.
We need to compare notes. I could tell you some stories.